Hello, morning students. In previous class, we have started lesson number 6, composition of matter. So now today we'll observe one activity. So for this activity, we have to take 3 beakers. And we have to take in first beaker sand and water, in second beaker blue vitriol and water, and in third beaker sand and blue vitriol. And then stir the materials in all the 3 beakers and observe and record your observations in the table given on page number 5. See here, in first beaker sand and water where we are taken, there what changes are seen? Sand does not dissolve. You can see here, sand does not dissolve in water. And number of phases in the mixture, 2. See, this is the one phase layer of sand and the another layer is of water. And therefore this type of mixture is heterogeneous. Next one beaker, blue vitriol and water. So what are the observations? Blue vitriol dissolve in water. So here one single phase is observed. So therefore this type of mixture is homogeneous. And next, sand and blue vitriol which we are taken in third beaker. So here how is the mixture? It is non-uniform mixture. And how many phases are observed here? 2 phases. One is of sand and the other is of blue vitriol. Therefore, this type of mixture is called heterogeneous. Means where one single phase is observed, that is called homogeneous. And if 2 or more phases are observed, then it is called heterogeneous mixture. Now, what's the mixture? We'll see what is meant by mixture. When 2 or more substances combine together, it is known as mixture. 2 or more substances, they are combined together. That is called mixture. So, here are some examples of mixtures. The first one example, I think you understood. It is bhel, which you like to eat, all of you. It is a mixture. Second one, milk. Third one, the mixture of different types of pulses. So these are the some examples of mixture. Now phase. The part of matter having uniform composition is called phase. Means if uniformity is there, then that is called single phase. Next, all the particles of a solid that stay together or in the same container form a single phase. Example, a heap of stones. See here, all together one single phase is there. A liquid substance along with all the soluble substances dissolved in it together constitute a single phase. Example, sea water. Children, you are knowing that in sea water many substances are dissolved, but all together it look in a uniform manner. So it is called a single phase. A liquid or all its drops present together or in the same container constitute a single phase. Example, rain drops. The liquid present together or in the same container but not mixed with each other constitute separate phase. Example, oil and water. See, if you put oil in water, then we are going to see that 2 layers are formed. Oil will not dissolve in water. So we can see 2 phases. One is of water and the other is of oil. All the gases present together constitute a single phase. Example, air. Now we'll study about homogeneous mixture. When all the components of a mixture form one phase, it is called homogeneous mixture. Here example is given of tea. In tea, different constituents are there. That is sugar, water, milk, and also tea dust. So all together they form a single phase. So it is called homogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. When the components of a mixture are distributed into two or more phases, it is called a heterogeneous mixture. Example, all the variety of dry fruits, when they are mixed, we can see different phases. So this is an example of heterogeneous mixture. Two or more phases are observed, so it is called heterogeneous mixture. Mixture is divided into two types, heterogeneous mixture and homogeneous mixture. Here you can see in the picture, this is heterogeneous mixture, means uniformity is not observed here in the particles. But here the particles we can see they are in a uniform manner, so it is called homogeneous mixture. Another example of homogeneous mixture we'll see, that is tea. So tea is prepared by using sugar, tea dust, milk, water, etc. And when the tea is prepared, we'll see one single phase. So it is called as homogeneous mixture. But here another example where we can see lumps of milk and sugar. Lumps of milk and sugar. Then it is not a homogeneous, it is a heterogeneous mixture when it is not dissolved in a proper manner. Now solution. A homogeneous mixture of two or more substances is called solution. So solvent, solute and solution, they form solution. Example, when salt is dissolved in water, it forms salt solution. So we will observe here salt which is present in small quantity, so it is called solute. Which is in small quantity, that is called solute, and which is in large quantity proportion, that is called solvent. Here water is in large quantity, so it is a solvent, and salt is in small quantity, so it is a solute. When the salt is dissolved in water, then the solution is formed, and that solution is called as salt solution. Another example, that is sugar water solution. So here again water, it is a solvent because it is taken in a large quantity, and sugar is added in a small quantity, so it is called solute. And when sugar dissolves in water, it forms solution, and that solution is called as sugar solution. Another again examples we'll see, liquid in liquid, vinegar, dilute sulfuric acid. Next, gas in gas, example is air. Next, solid in solid, that is alloys like brass, steel, stainless steel, etc. These are all the examples of solid in solid. Next one, gas in liquid, chlorinated water, hydrochloric acid. These are the example of gas in liquid. So all these are the examples of mixture. Suspension. Heterogeneous mixture of a liquid and a solid is called a suspension. You can see in the picture, this is a heterogeneous mixture and it is called suspension. See here in the beaker, water and sand is taken and it forms two layers. One is of sand and the other is of water. So the diameter of the solid particles in a suspension is larger than 10 raised to minus 4 meter. These particles are larger. Therefore, light cannot transmit through it. If particle size is larger, then light cannot be transmitted. These solid particles remain on an ordinary filter paper as residue, and therefore the liquid and solid components of a suspension get separated by filtration. If you filter the same, then the water will be collected in the conical flask and the filtrate, that is sand, remain on the filter paper, and that is called, this extract is called as residue. Whatever remaining on the filter paper, that is called as residue. Colloid. A colloid is a mixture where one substance of microscopically insoluble or soluble particles suspended into another substance. See, the smaller particles, when they are suspended in another substance, then that type of mixture is called as colloid. The diameter of these particles is around 10 raised to minus 5 meter. And however, as the pores of an ordinary filter paper are larger than colloid, the heterogeneous mixture cannot be separated by filtration. See, if the particle size is larger, then we can separate by filtration method. The particles will be collected on the filter paper. But if the size of the particles is smaller than the filter paper pores, then we cannot separate these substances. Again, some examples of colloid. Milk is itself a colloid. In it, the solid and liquid particles of proteins, fats, etc. are dispersed in the aqueous medium. Again, example is, that is solid in gas, smoke. Liquid in gas, fog, cloud. So, these are all the examples of colloid. That is milk, smoke, fog, cloud. These are the examples of colloid. We'll see one activity. See, if you take 3 glasses and in each glass, first glass water, in second glass we have taken milk, and in the third glass we have taken flour and water. And then if we pass a beam of light on these 3 glasses, then what will be the observation? So in first beaker we'll see glass, we'll see that the light can be not visible, and in second glass the light is visible. Again, even in third glass also it is visible, because the first solution the particles are completely dissolved. But here second one we are observing that colloid is there, means the microscopically small particles, they can transmit the light. Even in suspension also, flour and water, we can see the light can be visible. Molecular formula and valency. There is a definite proportion of the constituent elements in a compound. How compound is formed? When 2 or more substances mixed together in a fixed proportion. Certain number of the atom of the constituent elements are joined to each other in a molecule of a compound. Molecular formula indicates the number of atoms of each of the constituent elements present in one molecule of a compound. A molecular formula includes the information regarding the symbols of all the constituent elements and their respective number as subscripts. We'll see the table given on page number 46. See here, name of the compound, water. So the formula, molecular formula of water is H2O. And constituent elements which are there, H and O. And next, number of atoms of constituent elements here. How many atoms of hydrogen? 2. And oxygen? 1. So 2 and 1. Next one, hydrogen chloride, HCl. Formula is HCl. So hydrogen and chlorine. Next, the number of atoms in hydrogen 1 and chlorine are also 1. Next example, methane. So methane molecular formula is given CH4. So the constituent elements are C and H, and the number of atoms C1 and H are 4. Next, potassium chloride. The formula is MgCl2. The constituent elements are Mg, that is magnesium, and Cl. So atoms magnesium 1 and chlorine 2. The ability of joining to another atom with a chemical bond is a chemical property of each atom. This ability is indicated by a number, and this number is called valency of that atom. An atom forms as many chemical bonds with other atom as its valency. We'll see the table given on page number 46. See here molecular formula of a compound, that is HCl, constituent elements, that is H, and another one is Cl, and valency of hydrogen is 1, and number of bonds formed by X with H, that is 1 only, one single bond, and valency of X is also 1. Next one, water. The constituent elements H and O, valency again hydrogen 1, and the next one, that is oxygen, is 2, and then next it is valency is also 2. So we'll see next example, H2S. Here constituent elements are H and S. So valency again of hydrogen is 1, and valency of S, the next element, is 2, and the valency here again 2. Next, ammonia. So here constituent elements are H and N, and valency of hydrogen is 1, and the next one, number of bonds formed by X with H, that is how many bonds? 3. And next, the valency therefore of N is 3. Next, so here constituent elements are H and Br, bromine, and valency of hydrogen is 1, and the chemical bonds formed are also, it is also 1. And now we'll see about the next. Valencies of the constituent elements can be deduced from the known molecular formula of a compound. Now we'll study about cross multiplication. Cross multiplication method for writing the molecular formula of simple compounds. See here steps are there. Altogether 5 steps are there. So first step, to write symbols of constituent elements, that is C and O. Step 2, to write the valency below the respective element. The valency of carbon 4 and valency of oxygen is 2. Next, see, first step we are written only the symbol of the elements, and in second step what we are written? We are written the valencies below the elements symbols. And step 3, to cross multiply to obtain the number of atoms of the constituent elements in the molecule of the compound. See, cross multiplication of the valencies. The valency of C is written for O, and the valency of O is written for C. Next, step 4, to write the formula of the compound obtained by cross multiplication. When we do the cross multiplication of valencies, then which formula will get? C2 and O4, C2O4. Next, step 5, to write the final molecular formula of the compound, the number of constituent atoms in the final molecular formula should be the smallest possible whole numbers. For getting this, divide the formula obtained in step 4 by a suitable number. So, when we formula obtained by cross multiplication, that is in step 4, which formula we got? C2O4. And final molecular formula obtained by dividing by 2, then we will get CO2. Next, we will see the table. So here element and valency is given. We have to write the molecular formula of the corresponding compound. Here element C and H. The valency of C is 4 and valency of hydrogen is. So after cross multiplication, see what we'll get the formula C1, or we have to write only C, and for H4, CH4, after cross multiplication we'll get the formula of it is CH4. Next elements, that is nitrogen and hydrogen. The valency of nitrogen is 3 and the valency of hydrogen is 1. After cross multiplication we'll see that nitrogen will get 1, that is only we have to write N, no need to write here 1, and hydrogen 3, NH3. This is the formula of the compound. Next Fe and S. So here valency of Fe, that is iron, is 2 and S, that is sulfur, is also 2. You have to do again cross multiplication. So here Fe2 and S2, Fe2S2, this formula will get. So again we have to divide it by the number 2, then we will get FeS. The formula of the compound is FeS. Next element is here carbon and oxygen. Carbon valency is 4 and oxygen valency is 2. So after cross multiplication, see, we will get the formula C2O4. C2O4. So we have to divide it by 2. Then we will get the formula CO2. So understood this? How to get the valencies? Write the valencies of the compound by this cross multiplication method. So children, you understood the topic. So for better understanding, read the topic and observe the video. Do the given homework.